Dear students, before attending this class, you should watch my video about the fundamentals of molecular spectroscopy. So it is this is the second part of molecular spectroscopy class. So here I will discuss about some problems we are facing when you deal with spectroscopy technique. Okay. Some problems and also how to solve this. So that also some problems we cannot solve, naturally occurring many things are there, but some all these things we have a control with modern spectroscopic systems. First I will tell you about the signals to noise ratio in spectroscopy. Okay. I told you last time about the resulting the spectra resulting by the interaction of radiation with matter. Okay, so I will draw two type of spectra here. Any type of spectra. Maybe it can be infrared or some other thing. Okay, rotational. So one simply I am drawing like this. Okay, like this I am drawing. You see, my one spectra is like this. Okay, like this. Okay, so you see the actual spectra is not like this. The actual spectra of this particular system is, it will be like this, and it will be like this. Okay, so here you can define the difference between signal and noise. So this is your actual signal, but sometimes some different type of noise are appearing in the spectra. So where these noise are coming from? These are some spurious signals, noise or signals coming from the detector or from the source, or the so simply it's coming from some other sources other than sample. So it will be more noise sometimes. Okay, so this noise actually hiding the actual spectra. So actually you are expecting this type of a spectra, and normally your spectra or the sample spectra should be that means the sample spectra or the signal or your signal should be 3 to 3 or 4 times greater than the noise. That is the somewhat actual good type of a spectra. So this noise you can avoid by simply adjusting the slit and that other type of things. So spurious signals you can avoid like that. Anyway, a good spectra, getting good spectra, that means the signal should be 3 or 4 times intense than the noise. So here the intensity is very high, that is why this noise is there, but noise intensity is very less. That's about the signals to noise ratio. Okay, so next we will discuss about the resolving power, or you can call it as the resolution of the spectra. You may be seen some telescopic pictures where suppose 2 stars are there. Sometimes as a telescope with very small resolution, you will be getting only one star, simply a blurred image. But if you use a very high resolution, very high quality telescope, you can see maybe correctly you can see 2 stars are there, or 2 heavenly bodies are there, but collectively you can see sometimes in the case of a low resolution telescope or image. Okay, so that type of examples are there in the case of Hubble Space telescope. Clearly you can see many things. When you observe the normal telescope, you cannot see the correct stars. Okay, so that is the resolving power of the spectrometer. Spectrometers. I will draw some figures like this. Okay, simply suppose this is a round. Okay, and if you use a high resolution, if you look very clearly, sometimes you can see like this. If you look more clearly, maybe it will be like this. Okay, you can say that this picture has high resolution. This image has high resolution. Okay, so what about our spectra? Okay, the low resolution spectra will be like this. Simply, it will be like this. Okay, actually this consists of this spectra consists of two lines, but it is it consists of two lines, but it is not visible. It's not visible. Suppose you are using a more good resolution instrument, you will be getting, sometimes you will be getting like this. Sometimes you will be getting like this. Okay, that means here your spectra is somewhat resolved. Okay, somewhat resolved like this, and finally if you are using a very good resolution spectra, you will be getting two peaks. You know that in the case of NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscope, there are high resolution and low resolution. So low resolution instrument you will be getting for small price, but the higher resolution may be very huge price. So low resolution means you will be getting simply for one peak. The peak splitting you will not get. Okay, that means splitting you can expect in a high resolution spectra. Okay, so that's about the resolution. So simply I am telling all these things. I am not going to the much details about all these things. Next, I will tell you about the broadening of spectral lines. Okay, let me check. Let us discuss about the broadening, how the spectra will be. So spectra will become very broad when you observe. Okay, that sometimes it is a natural thing, sometimes we cannot avoid. All of us, all the people are expecting a sharp peaks in a spectra. That means the sharp peaks will tell you clearly about the frequency range, correct frequency it will tell. Otherwise, if it is a very broad, you will be getting a range of frequency. So people are very much interested in the sharp spectra, but always most of the time you will not get a sharp line. So that problem we will discuss here now. Okay. Okay. So when you talk about these things, the broadening of lines. Broadening of lines means spectral lines. Broadening of lines. We have to talk about three effects. The first effect. So due to that, broadening of lines occurs. That means normally I told you people are expecting very sharp lines because this frequency centimeter inverse, this frequency you can tell, but normally the spectra will not be like this. You cannot expect like this. Sometimes it will be like this. That means here there is a huge frequency range. That means so there is a loss of information. This is the correct information, and this is somewhat blurred information. That is known as the broadening of spectral lines. So why the broadening of lines, broadening of spectral lines occurs? Okay, the first reason, there are three reasons. The first reason you can call it as Doppler broadening. Sorry, first reason you can say that is known as the Doppler Doppler broadening. I will tell you one by one what is this Doppler broadening. Second reason is known as the collision broadening. And finally it is known as the lifetime broadening. So there are three types of broadening. You can observe there is a reason for the broadening of molecular spectra. Okay, so we can first discuss what is the Doppler broadening. Okay, in our case, you know about the Doppler effect. Suppose we are standing on the in the platform. The train is coming. Means from the far distance you can hear the sound very feebly. That means very low sound you can see. When it is approaching it will be very loud, and when it is going it will become very low sound, because I am just standing. I am a stationary object. I am standing in the platform. Train is coming and going. So this particular effect is simply you can call it as Doppler effect. So how the Doppler effect is working? I told you that in a spectroscopic system there will be a source of light and your sample is here, and finally the light will go through it, and finally it will go to the detector. Okay, suppose you are taking gaseous or liquid samples. You see your sample is inside, and it will be in a Brownian motion. You see, every time it is under motion. So what about detector? Detector is stationary. Detector, just like we are standing in the platform, detector is stationary, but molecules are moving. So that is why this Doppler broadening occurs. So due to this effect, broadening, suppose you take a spectra, broadening occurs. That broadening is called Doppler broadening. So it is very difficult to avoid this type of Doppler broadening. Maybe some solid samples, this Doppler broadening may become very small, but temperature will affect, temperature and pressure, all these things will affect. And next is the collision broadening. It's very simple. Suppose you have two molecules, it will collide each other. What will happen during the collision? Their electron cloud will become damaged. Okay, so you see, when temperature increases, this collision will increase. That means their electronic cloud will become damaged. So due to this damage, another type of broadening occurs, that is known as the collision broadening. So this is a very wonderful broadening technique, that is a broadening reason. That is a lifetime broadening. Lifetime means the lifetime of a molecule in the excited state. You may be knowing about the famous uncertainty principle already. That is a position and momentum problem. There is also another problem, that is the energy time problem. That is delta E into delta T is equal to h by 2 pi. So that is the energy time problem. So how this energy time problem is coming? Suppose you have the E1 here and your E2 here. I told you that the molecule will when light absorbs, the molecule will go to the higher energy level. Okay, I told you that this is a very unstable state. It will come back. Okay, so this is very important, that how long a molecule is sitting in this position. Okay, that is the time. How long a molecule is existing in this excited state. That depends upon the energy. That is reverse. That means when the energy level, this energy level is like this. When the energy level is very high, the molecule will reside at the excited state very little time. That means when energy level increases, this time change decreases, and this time increases means energy level decrease. That means, I think you understand, if it is a very high energy level, the molecule will reside for a very short time. So there is this problem. That means the energy time uncertainty, and so the energy time uncertainty, some broadening will be occurring. That is known as the lifetime broadening. Okay, and finally, I can tell you very simply, I can tell you about the intensity of spectral lines. So when the intensity of lines will increase, okay, intensity, I think I can draw here, just you see what you mean by the intensity of lines. So this spectra I am drawing here, simply you can just see. Okay, so this is a particular line, this is a particular peak, and this is a same peak, you see, same peak with high intensity. So intensity should be very high, otherwise you see you cannot detect the signals. So intensity, there should be sufficient intensity. So what decides this factor? What decides this factor? I am drawing two energy levels, same type energy levels. This is your E1, E2, and this is also your E1 and E2. And I am just drawing, this is your ground level, E1 is your ground level, and here some molecules are residing, because you know that only in ground level molecules will be there. Ground level molecules will be there normally. Okay, you see the difference between these two. Here a small number of molecules are in the ground level, here a large number of molecules are in the ground level. So where is the transition probability very high? Transition probability of molecule is very high here. Okay, so such type of a spectra, such type of a transition will result in high intense spectra. So that intensity variation you can calculate by this equation, that is n upper means n upper and n lower. Upper and lower means the lines, sorry, the E2 is upper, L means lower means E1. So n upper minus n lower is equal to exponential minus delta E by kT. So you can remember this equation related to the population of molecules. N upper means the number of molecules upper, L means the number of molecules at the lower state. That means the exponent is equal to exponential minus delta E by kT. Here k, small k, is known as the Boltzmann constant. So please read about these things also, because regularly these type of terminology will come in your textbooks. So the information about these things is also very important. Okay, thank you.